Oh, welcome, welcome. There were two things I wanted to get done. First thing would be a quick MFC, and then a quick commit of something, but for that I need the machine to be running. How's everyone's weekends going? That bad, huh? There we go. So there's that. You can log in. You can commit table 12. Might want to update. Why the ish? Not as good as it could be. Two bugs in the pot. What pot? Or possibly you mean two bugs in production? Oh, pot the jail framework. Oh, I should look at that one of these decades. Does it do vimage? Pot. So why don't I show this? Oh, another container framework for FreeBSD based on jails, ZFS, and PF. Ooh, well, that's clearly a dreadful choice. Quick start guide, installation guide, online help. That looks neat. Package install. Okay, yes, that seems obvious. Oh, resource limitations. VNets are disabled. Huh. Do you happen to have a bug number for this performance issue with the VTNet driver? It'll come up later, but I have a customer who kind of cares about certain things. Oh, am I looking at an old version? Did I spell that correctly? Yes. Oh, wow. Nice. Inherit alias public virtual network, private internal virtual network. Okay. Someday I'm going to have to take a look at that, in my copious spare time. What I was saying is I have a customer who kind of cares about well, not specifically VTNet, but they're trying to run Beehive, and they would like it to shovel more packets than it currently does. And I would like to help them achieve this, but that's going to take a bit of doing. Do I yes, okay. In the meantime, SVN gets to think about this. And I would like to help them with that. And one of the things that I'm going to need to be able to help them is hardware. And I was kind of hoping that some people would turn up who have experience with hardware labs, because I think that I need some machines and some 10 gig networking kit. Well, at the very least 10 gig NICs, and I might be able to get away with not having a 10 gig switch, but sooner or later I'm going to buy a 10 gig switch. Mm. 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 Oh wow, that's tasty. For those of you who happen to be interested, beer of the week is Westmalle Triple, because I have a bit of a Trappist thing going, and Westmalle Triple is never a bad choice. Well, usually not a bad choice. I could tell you stories, but I'm not going to tell them when I'm recorded. So while we're at it, we should finish these MFCs. And I have the MFC email open somewhere, so I can copy paste the message. So this is easy at least. Typing is hard. Typing is hard. Why is typing so very hard? Okay, that's tabbed. We're happy. Yeah, go ahead and commit. And go ahead and commit. There. Okay. And now I have one more commit that needs doing, but then I'm going to have to go dig in my mailbox for a second, or possibly 2 seconds. That was another one of those input validation things. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to have to do this. Yep. So this, because sysctl mumble mumble does keep, not sysctl, syscaller keeps finding panics around this one, and I would like it to stop finding them and actually find something a little bit more useful, or at the very least stop complaining about what it's finding. 2538. There we go. Yeah, I've been getting away with not having my own performance testing lab, but several customers who are interested and some of my own personal testing work I would like to do. It's just going to be easier to get a couple of machines, and I was hoping people would have, recommendations. In the meantime, while you all think about that, we should commit this. Did we fix that last week? When did I post this for review? Oh no, on a Wednesday. So no, this was not part of a stream. This was another bit of incorrect input validation. Not a particularly serious bug, but syscaller keeps tripping over it. I've got like 10 different panic messages that reported that if I set this particular value in this pointer it panics, and if I set this other value in this pointer it panics, and if I set this other value in this pointer it panics. Yes, if you set anything that's not null, this is going to panic. So maybe just maybe they're all exactly the same thing, and you should probably stop complaining about it. But I do need to stick the reviewed by. When people take the time to review your patches, you should credit them. Well, I say credits. Mostly what I mean is let them share in the blame. Because clearly, if this is a stupid commit, the reviewer should have noticed. What? No, seriously. Just blame someone else. Okay, so one of the things that I've been meaning to do is I really need to clean out both my stash. Yeah, don't need this anymore. Don't need this, or not right away anyway. well, kind of still need this one. Okay, so that's enough of the stash for now, but I've got a pile. Oh, yeah, and that's definitely fixed. At least yes. That's definitely fixed. I've got a whole pile of vaguely in progress branches and reviews, and yeah. And so I'm going to take, well, I'm not going to do them all now, but we're going to drop a couple of them. Yeah. Anyway, what were we doing last week? Oh yes, we were looking at, and I can probably dig up that review out here somewhere. We were looking at trying to execute commands from the host in a VNet jail. Ah, that's a good question, Rene. Why the D and then the XX is the number of the review and the base of the review. The base is the point where we branched off from, which makes it easier to rebase things in Git. Actually, what is the easiest way to demonstrate this? Well, actually, if we look at one, so this one, for instance, what was this? Oh, okay, so a change of locking define. So essentially, it's this. It remembers where we branched off from, so that we can change this branch and know and put arc diff update. Essentially, when we push an update to a review, we need to tell it what the change is relative to, and that's that underscore base. Now that we've seen this, we can also delete it, and that's why the arcdiff tool actually creates the second branch. It's useful. It just means that you end up with with this a whole list of branches that we kind of don't necessarily care about anymore. I think that this one, yeah, that's definitely not relevant anymore. Needed cleanup. That needed cleanup. So what we were looking at last week is that jail thing, where we were trying to add the notion of executing network configuration ioctls in a different VNet context. Now it looks like people are getting to a consensus around that patch. It got ignored for a long time, and now people look to be interested in it. So my current view is that I'm not going to spend any more time on it. That's probably mostly because I'm lazy. Next thing, and I should have dug that out before I started the stream. What I'm going to look at is some more bridging foo, because I remember someone responding to one of my bridge status emails with a potentially useful suggestion. There we go. So this developer has a long-standing annoyance that when bridging an Ethernet device, we must put the IP address on the bridge device rather than on the Ethernet device for things to work right. Developer doesn't know why this is, but it feels wrong. I did suggest, and I do this regularly when people try to report bugs to me, I did suggest that it would be extremely useful if this developer were to write a test case for this, And there are two reasons that I do this. The first, and the reason that I tell everyone that I do this, is because when fixing bugs, I spend more than half my time actually trying to reproduce the bug. If you give me a test case, an automatic test case to reproduce it, that is at least half the work already done. So that is enormously useful. The second and possibly more important reason is that when I tell people that, at least half the time that's the last I hear about that bug. Kind of, that's kind of mean, but there's only so much work I can do. There's only so much work I'm willing to do, and one of these two levels is a lot lower than the other one. And that helps to prioritize and to remind people that things don't happen by magic. So the suggestion is that when we bridge an Ethernet device, we must put the IP address on the bridge for this to work. So let's try to reproduce that. So we've already created a jail. IF config. That jail has nothing in it. Well, it has a loopback interface in it. epair create epair 0b vnet iron 192.168.11/24 up. Up. So now we should have the setup where we have a bridge, and we have the interface in the bridge. This interface is bridge member, and the interface has the IP address. What happens when we try to ping it? Well, what happens is that just succeeds. So yeah, that's another reason why these test cases are useful, because then I can't deny that you have a bug, which I'm sorely tempted to do right now because it kind of, works. Well, what we could do is let's create another epair. 1A vnet iron. Oh wow, I can't type today. So what I'm going to try is, let's create a second VNet jail. Let's stick a link into that, and let's see if bridging things work from there. I'm just, randomly making this setup more complicated. So 1B into iron 2. Let's give it an IP address, and we should now be able to ping this IP address, and that works. And can I ping? And that works. So near as I can tell, this actually works. So I don't know what to tell this guy, but if it works, it works. So, done, I suppose. That lets me check another one off in the to-do list. I have some extremely ancient email in my inbox that references panic. I have bridge. Panic when destroying interface on bridge over time. So let's take a look at that bug. I'm going to be extremely lazy and not actually tear down those interfaces. I'm literally just going to reboot the box because virtual machine. Why didn't you tell me that before I rebooted the machine? Huh? Never mind, we can just rebuild the setup. I'm 99% sure that if ICMP works, TCP is also going to work. But hey, it's worth a try. It's worth a try. So, machine is up. We can log in again. We can jail-c. We can epair create. We can kld loads the bridge. We can log in. We can jexec iron. vnets iron. Yeah, but that would be 0b. There we go. Pair 0b becomes 192.168.1.2.24 up. Bridge 0 up, Adam E pair 0b. And now we should be able to ping 1.1, and that works. And now we should be able to SSH to it. So I'd say that TCP works as well. So, you know, reasonable idea, but it turns out that yes, that also works. So let's leave that jail around, and let's take a look at 21.99.01. No promises about fixing or even understanding what goes on here. While testing VNet jails over time and bringing about 20 of them up and down about 10 to 20 times a day, I get this panic bridge set IF cap. During teardown of an IF bridge while setting the interface capabilities on the bridge. Well, arguably, maybe it doesn't. Yeah, but does it matter if the traffic crosses the bridge or not? The interface is a bridge member. The IP address is assigned to it, and it all just works. It's possible that this is something that Kyle resolved recently because he did make some changes in that area, but I didn't pay quite that much attention. Okay, so this happens when we delete member, when we bridge set IF cap. Oh God, I think I suspect that I know what's going on here. And I think it's family of my nightmare bug. There are race conditions around interface cleanup, and especially around interface cleanup of ePair interfaces. And it triggers all of the panics all of the time. And realistically, I can't fix this. Or I can't fix that one without spending a couple of days of concentrated debug time, so definitely not the sort of thing that I'm likely to fix on stream. What we could do is try to reproduce this problem. Can we read this core file? Come on, bugs. There we go. Okay, so yeah, delete member, set IF cap. Yeah, problem here, of course, is that those line numbers are bound to have changed by now. But let's take a quick gamble. They might just be accurate in table 12. Yeah, okay. So something somewhere in mute caps, and I suspect that the original reporter, yeah, does not have anything particularly useful. Yeah, has not looked at the backtrace. Well, it's set IF cap even, which gets called from delete member. Okay, bridge set IF cap, where we potentially if I octal, but that's not going to be it. Really, the most realistic explanation for this is that the bridge got destroyed when interfaces got returned to. Yeah, so what we could do. Well, that doesn't seem to have reproduced it, but we can try. We can have a quick try. So we have e pair is equals super 0, and then what are we going to do? GL-C, we'll call it iron. VNet persist. Pair 0A, VNet iron. I've config e pair 0B, 192, 168, 124 and up. Okay, and then we want to jexec iron if config bridge 0 to 168, 1.2, 24 up, add e pair 0A. We want to make sure that's set up. Ping-C3, 192.168.1.2. That's good. JL-R iron. Oh, you know what I should do? So -E exits as soon as one of these commands fails, and -X will print what it's doing. Okay. Its name equals iron. See, this is why you want those errors to be fatal, because it's so easy to make a mistake in your script and have it not work. Okay. Okay. So let's let this run in a loop for a little while and see if the machine decides to panic. In the meantime, now that I have a slightly larger audience, I can take care of the other thing that was on my to-do list for today. And that is ask for advice. I'm looking to buy some hardware. I would like to use this hardware to do performance testing. So I'm going to need 10 gigabit Ethernet interfaces. I think that what I want are the Chelsea T6520s. I forget what they're called. The test cluster 1 page has them because I keep forgetting what they are. But those Chelsea cards are pretty nice, and they do netmap, so you can kick out a lot of packets, which is really very useful. 6225s, and they should actually do 25 gigabits, which should be very nice. They also look like they're not insanely expensive. Chelsea online store. So for their, oh well, there we go. Well, not insanely expensive. $400 for a network card is not, cheap, but it's a 10 gig card, so I think those should be fine. But I need machines. The machines I have at home right now are my laptop, and try as I might, I'm not going to fit one of those cards in there. And I have my gateway device, which is a FreeNAS Mini XL, which is a nice little machine for file serving and for gateway purposes, but it's just underpowered for anything like this. So I figure I'm going to have to get some actual real servers, and I was wondering if people had recommendations for that. I've heard good things about the Mellanox cards as well, but I don't actually know offhand if they do NetMap. Um, MLX5, right? Yeah, see, they don't do NetMap. I really, really need a card that does NetMap, that has NetMap support, because that's the. Oh, wow. Uh, Intel's X520s dual SFP plus variants. Yeah, I think I was browsing the Dell website, looking at machines, but I'm a little wary of buying machines from Dell because are they going to work well for so let's say an R340 because they sell them with 10 gig cards. Just show configurations, whatever, 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 and then we can. And they come with. I don't care about that. Oh, there we go. So standard, they've got dual 1 gig Broadcom ports, which that's not useful. Okay. So Dell sell X550s, which are also dual port 10 gig cards, but they want €700 for a card, and that's pretty fucking pricey. I could eBay a card. Yeah, so Dell defaults to Broadcom for their presumably for their on motherboard cards, but they will sell you, if you want them, you can get Intel 10 gig NICs. But €700 for a network card is pricey, especially when I know that this card works, and they only want $400 for it. So, well, you convert that to euros, it'll be €350, but through the magic of internet pricing, it'll be €450 for this card. But that's still a lot less than Dell want for the Intel cards. And these I know for a fact that they work because I've used them. And they are not just 10 gig cards, they're actually 25 gig cards. And I think that what I want to do with these is get these um, yeah, some of these things that are SFP and cable in one, so you can't actually route them anywhere. But considering that my two machines are going to live one on top of the other anyway, this should be perfect. $100 for a 25 gig link is well, I need two of them, so $200, pretty reasonable pricing. But I still need servers. I've been chatting with IX and trying to get IX to give me a price for some machines, and I've yet to manage to convince them to tell me how much it's going to cost, so I can tell them, yes, send me machines. Ooh, yes, pre-owned Chelsea 40 gig. Ooh, shiny. Um, yeah, that's very cheap. Oh wow, Chelsea 100 gigs. Yeah, see, pre-owned. Oh wow. That's basically nothing. Yeah, I could potentially just raid eBay for something or other. That's good advice. fs.com. Is this machine? Yeah, this machine is still running, so it clearly needs more than this to actually manage a panic. Uh, 10 gig, 40, 20, 50, 40, and 25 gig transceivers. I will need to remember this. Wow, the transceivers are not cheap either. So yeah, I think that what I want to do is just give Chelsea money. I'm only moderately price concerned for these things, and it would be nice to have reasonably high-end hardware for this sort of thing. Um, the sort of use cases I have for it is, yeah, as I said, performance work. Um, I have one customer that really cares about getting bits in and out of Beehive virtual machines quickly, because our current story around IFTAP is, well, it's bad. It's really slow. I have another customer who cares about shaping things, and I also need to be able to run. Well, for that one, I could probably do useful work in virtual machines, but the problem I have with virtual machines is that I can't PMC stat in them. I can't get that performance counters. Uh, yes, well, but yeah, but the thing about Cisco pricing is nobody pays list price for Cisco kit, right? Just nobody does because their list prices are insane. I've been pointed at that. I've been in. I in fact still had the link open. Viona, I would need to look at this. I will need to. Yeah. The problem with this, of course, is that I don't know the Solaris kernel. Okay, so it's BSD license, so I can actually look at this. Link into rings. Associate Mac network interface and a Beehive instance to link its resources. Uh, yeah, that looks interesting. I will definitely have to read up on it. But fundamentally, I need machines that I can test on. And someday, when I'm really, really, really bored, I would also like to try to spend some time on PF because I think it could be faster than it is. Hmm. So this Viona thing is host side, right? Well, I'm going to have to read through this, possibly, not when I'm drinking and trying to keep saying things. Um, Open, close, ioctl, not much at least I sort of follow what it does. Yes, but does it live in the host kernel or in the guest kernel? Considering that you link it to a beehive, this will be host side, I would assume. Um, Create, delete, get features, set features, ring, init, reset, kick. Maps VirtIO buffer straight to the Mac. Yeah. Huh. Yeah, I think the problem with that is I'm going to have to spend a fair bit of time getting to up to speed with how things work on Illumos before I can say whether or not this is useful on FreeBSD. Yes. Yeah, that would be very, very, very helpful. And presumably it can also use multiple cores at a time, because I think that's one of the things that kills our IF tap performance, is that it's the one mutex, and then it's the copying it into user space to the beehive process to copy it back into the kernel. It's pretty terrible. It's really slow. I mean, terrible. It works. It works well enough for a lot of use cases. It works well enough for my use case for a development machine. But it's not great if you're trying to shuffle multiple millions of packets per second through it, because it just won't. So yeah, I'm going to have to look at that, but I'm going to need machines. So on Monday, I'm going to have to chase after the Nice IX systems people for a bit, because I need those machines. And the sooner I get them, the sooner I will run out of excuses to not do this work. In the meantime, considering that this box just, refuses to panic, yeah, I'm definitely going to have to look at that. And what sorts of speeds are those on what sort of hardware? So yeah, dear user, please provide more useful information, because if I can't reproduce a bug, I can't help you. But I'm going to be mean, and I'm going to consider that particular bug to be fixed for me. And we're going to look at another one, but I fear 8 gigabits. Yeah, that's not bad. I think that's starting to come near to what the customer is looking for. I'm definitely going to have to study up on that a bit. But I still I need machines. I can't do this work without machines that I can test things on. Yeah, sounds pretty nice. I'm just going to have to bite the bullet and buy hardware. This is EtherIF detach. I'm pretty sure that this is the horrible one. Yeah. Oh yeah, I have vmove, I have detach internal. That's the one that somebody's going to have to spend some real time on. Kyle has tried, I have tried, and we've all failed to resolve it so far. So la la la. Not going to get fixed anytime soon. Let me grab my other to-do list and see if I can find something else that needs looking at, or some low-hanging fruit where I can do something more reasonable. It does not, but I'm not awake enough to do that. Do our test scripts? That is actually a useful one. Okay, this is clearly not going to panic. Just okay. Yes. So one to-do list item I had was make the test scripts work with Python 3, but I suspect, in fact, that that has already been done. So I'm going to package remove my Python 2 and this one. Load pf sync, users tests is not p full pf, qt test. Go run these tests and see what happens. With any luck, it will actually work. Because that means I can, yeah, looks like they work. We'll let that run, but I'm going to check this particular item off as done. Consider port OpenBSD PF to FreeBSD. No, I've considered it. Okay, so user source this. I have a to-do list item that has been there for far too long and is probably no longer relevant. Yeah, it's been there for about a year. And it says that according to it, the flow ID parameter in rib lookup info is not used. So let's take a look at that. Rib lookup info, we've got flow ID, and indeed this is not used. So it is very tempting to say that we're just going to delete it, which admittedly does break kernel binary interfaces, but we can probably get away with that inside current. So the flow ID is the second to last parameter. Where else is this defined? In route.h. Rib info lookup, and uint32 goes away, and that just stays where it is. Where else are you used? So we've had 1, we had 2, 3. I mean, look at this. All of these calls, the 0 is simply not used. So this is silly. This just needs to go away. So we've had NetFlow. Okay, well, that's the wrong 0, but who cares? And this one. Because, I mean, what's the point of carrying on arguments that we're never, ever, ever going to use? Okay, so that one I could. And now all we need to see is if this still works. Well, if it builds, it'll work. And then I get to check off this particular to-do item as well. Yeah, so many little things that should get done at some point. yes. Well, yes. Oh, God. So many things that need to be done. So many things that we should lift from OpenBSD at some point. Yeah, okay. So I had a to-do list item, steal NAT64 from Apple PF, and, well, no. We're just not doing NAT64. It's an IPFW. If people want IPFW, they should just NAT64. Okay, so this compiles. I don't care. Okay, so that kernel compiles, so we can. Need to go fix this one real quick. And this is an open bug, but we'll look at that one in a bit. I just need to make sure that I fix this first, because otherwise I'm going to forget. There we go. This trailing space needed to go. Yes, 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 yes. There. Push that for review in due course. And in the meantime, this should have loaded kernel. Oh, okay. So I've closed this one already. Yeah, and I closed that one last year. So I get to remove that from my to-do list as well. No, okay, there's a link. And there's a link. I've got a very, 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 very large list of. Well, I'll show you. It's my to-do list tracker, and this is all of the things that I have on it for, one of these days I should do something about these for FreeBSD. Some of them are still relevant, some of them are not. All of them need time and energy and effort. It's most of them are not likely to happen anytime soon. I don't have anything else I particularly wanted to try to get done today. So unless there are any questions, I'm going to end the stream early-ish today. And I'm planning to take a holiday, a holiday from streaming next week. It's this being at home and being in the same country for an entire month at a time is starting to get to me. So I'm going to pretend to be a tourist in Belgium for a little bit, and hopefully spend my Sunday doing that. So if you have questions or anything else, now is a good time. If not, feel free to send email or ping me on Twitters or IRCs or anywhere else. And then we'll just see what happens in due course. But thank you for being there. I will slowly finish my beer and start cooking, because dinner needs to happen. And it looks like rain is going to happen outside later today. I might need a little bit more exercise today, but, well, that's just how it is. Thank you for being here, and I'll tweet when I resume streaming.